You were told jaguars are a rainforest cat, extinct in the United States for a century. Occasional lost strays wandering north by mistake. That is the story the range map protects, and it is a decade out of date. Southern Arizona is not receiving stray jaguars for the first time. It is receiving them again from a source population 130 miles south along a corridor the textbook shows as broken. 4 cases will change how you read that map. 1 has physical evidence you cannot dismiss. 1 has a witness you cannot wave off. 1 was quietly confirmed. Start with the one that leaves the least room to argue. Picture a landowner in the Sky Islands, somewhere in the Santa Ritas or the Whetstones, pulling the SD card out of a game camera on a Sunday afternoon. He is looking for whitetail. He is looking for the buck he has been tracking since October. What he sees instead is a rosetted cat walking across the frame at 4:47 in the morning, tail longer than its own body, shoulders that clear the bottom rail of the fence in the background. His first thought is bobcat, then he counts the tail. Then he tries ocelot, because ocelots have been confirmed in that county, and ocelots are the safe answer. But an ocelot is the size of a large house cat. This animal is not. The next thought is the one nobody likes to say out loud. He thinks a neighbor is messing with him. He thinks somebody planted a printed cutout or edited the frame. He sits on it for a week. Here is the part that matters. Jaguar rosettes are not decoration. They are fingerprints. Every jaguar has an individually unique pattern, and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and the Jaguar Conservation Team maintain a catalog of every rosette pattern they have documented. When a frame like his gets submitted, it does not get judged on vibes. It gets compared pattern by pattern against every known individual moving through the border corridor. Sometimes it matches a cat already logged in Sonora. Sometimes it enters the catalog as a new male. If that frame came off your camera, would you have posted it or deleted it? Sit with that for a second, because the answer explains why the record is thinner than the reality. The problem with a single camera is that a single camera can always be attacked. So consider the next kind of witness, not a hobbyist, a retired Border Patrol tracker in his 60s. 40 years of reading sign in the desert. He has ruled out mountain lions so many times he does it in his sleep, because 90% of the big cat reports in Arizona are mountain lions, and he knows it. He sees the animal in daylight at close range at a wash outside Nogales. He runs through the misidentification list in real time. Mountain lion? No, wrong tail. Ocelot? No, wrong size. Escaped exotic? No, wrong condition. Bobcat? No. He is not going to insult himself. When he finally accepts what he is looking at, he watches it for maybe 6 seconds. Then it is gone. He reports it up the chain. The response is careful, informal, noted for the record. No press release, no news alert, nothing you would ever see from your phone. That is not a cover-up. That is what agency confirmation actually looks like when the political cost of a public statement is higher than the biological cost of quiet. The last confirmed breeding female jaguar in the United States was killed in the 1960s. So a hunted-out population is not a permanently closed range. It is a population waiting for the next dispersing male to walk north. The extinction assumption made sense, given what was known then. It stops making sense, given what is known now. What credentials would a witness need before you would update your own map? Now, move from one witness to the stack, because this is the case that is quietly sitting in plain sight. Over the last 3 decades, at least half a dozen individually identified male jaguars have been documented in southern Arizona and southwestern New Mexico. Macho B in the 2000s, El Jefe in the Santa Ritas around the middle of the last decade, Sombra, Yooko. More recently, uncatalogued males photographed in the Huachucas and the Chiricahuas within the last few years. Every one of those cats got covered in the press as a novelty. One lonely wanderer, a curiosity, a photograph for the Sunday paper. Read them individually and you get a heartwarming story about one lost cat. Read them as a pattern and you get something the range map has no vocabulary for. Here is what the range map does not say. There is a monitored jaguar reserve in Sonora, roughly 130 miles from the Arizona border. Male jaguars disperse. That is not a fringe theory. That is felid biology. A young male gets pushed out of his mother's territory, walks until he finds space, and if the corridor is intact, he keeps walking. 130 miles is well within a young male's range. The Sierra San Luis, the Peloncillos, the Chiricahuas, that is a chain of mountain habitat that does not care about the international line. And here is the agency signal most viewers have never seen. In 2014, US Fish and Wildlife formally designated critical habitat for jaguars inside Arizona and New Mexico. Not proposed, designated. That is the paperwork updating itself in quiet, legal language while the popular range map sits frozen. Pull up the agency's press releases from 2000, from 2011, from the last 3 years, and read them back to back. Watch the verbs shift. Possible, occasional, confirmed individual, critical habitat. Try that yourself before you accept anything I have said. Compare the popular Jaguar range map, the one that stops clean at the border, with the 2014 critical habitat designation and your state's confirmed observation log. Watch the two maps disagree. That disagreement is the whole story. Now the honest filter. Every jaguar confirmed in the United States in modern times, as far as I can find, has been a male. No confirmed female, no cubs, no den. So the specific conclusion the evidence supports is narrow. Arizona has confirmed, repeated, individually identifiable, dispersing male jaguars using a documented corridor from a monitored source population. It does not have a confirmed resident breeding population. Not yet. That word matters. But repeated confirmed dispersing males from the same source, using the same corridor over a generation, is exactly the pattern that precedes recolonization in every other returning large carnivore in North America. It is what cougars did in the Midwest. It is what wolves did in Washington. It is what wolverines are doing in the Rockies right now. Dispersing males come first, females follow the corridor the males wore in. Or they do not, and the presence stays intermittent for another century. The biology sets the outer boundary. Corridor integrity decides the inside, which is where the last case stops being about jaguars at all and starts being about how you read a map. Because the honest historical record shows jaguars used to range into the Grand Canyon, into Louisiana, possibly into the southern Appalachians. What we call the jaguar's range today is not the natural boundary. It is a snapshot of a low point, a shrunken remnant of a range that was hammered down by 150 years of bounty programs and predator control. The animal was not native to Sonora and marginal in Arizona. The animal was native to the American Southwest, and now it is walking the corridor it always walked, back into ground it never really left. That reframe cuts in every direction, and I want to be fair to all of it. The agencies who are cautious with confirmation are not corrupt. A confirmed cat means endangered species act obligations, rancher conflict, border complications, and a management workload that nobody has funded. That is a real institutional cost. The skeptics who dismiss most big cat reports are not closed-minded. Most Arizona big cat reports are mountain lions. Melanistic jaguars remain undocumented anywhere. The witnesses who stay quiet are not stubborn. They have been burned by neighbors, forums, and reporters. All 4 of those costs are real, and all 4 are why the paperwork lags. So here is the framework the cases give you. Ask what the physical evidence is, and whether it can be independently reproduced. A rosette match, a DNA sample, a corroborated CAM sequence. Ask how credible the witness is. Position, training, prior record. Ask whether the sighting is biologically plausible given the source population and the corridor. Ask what the historical record actually says, not the current map. Ask whether the agency's own language has quietly moved. and ask what survives after every honest, skeptical filter has been applied. That residue is the case. If you have a trail cam frame you have never posted because you did not want the ridicule, I want you to send it in to your state's biologist, to the Jaguar conservation team if you are in the Southwest, to the researcher your local university keeps quiet on their staff page. Your frame may be the one that closes a corridor gap somebody has been trying to close for 8 years. And here is what I want you to walk away with. Absence is not the same thing as unconfirmed presence. The animal can already be moving through a landscape while its official status still reads not present. Your senses were probably right about something you saw. Something else you saw was probably a bobcat at a bad angle. The question is not whether you believe in the animal. The question is which specific piece of the map this specific case redraws. In Arizona, the answer is already written into the Federal Register. The rest of the map is catching up. If this is the case that made you reconsider your own state, watch the one on Eastern Cougars next. Same framework, different residue.